Imagine watching the best golfer in the world miss a completely straight 3-foot putt to win a major championship.
Right? It's agonizing.
Yeah, you see their shoulders slump, and, you assume their eyes betrayed them. They assume they misread the slope.
Exactly.
But, and this is what we're getting into today, what if the real reason they missed is a violent, chaotic, physical event that is, well, it's completely invisible to the naked eye?
It's a wild thought.
It really is. So, welcome to another custom-tailored deep dive. You are an inherently curious listener who loves tearing apart conventional wisdom to see the hidden gears turning underneath. You are really going to want to take notes on this one.
Absolutely. Grab a pen.
Today, we are looking at an action so seemingly simple, you've probably done it at a local mini golf course next to a spinning windmill, just hitting a little white ball into a hole.
Which sounds so easy, right?
Hmm.
But the mechanics of that basic motion are intricate to the point of being almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
We are going to completely dismantle the universally accepted idea that putting on a golf course is, simply a matter of correctly reading the geometry of the ground.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I was poring over the data from Henrik Jentsch's putting research, which is tied into the Puttalize app and the eCoach 360 platform. And there is this central paradox here that fundamentally broke my brain.
It's pretty shocking stuff.
Right. The data shows that even elite professional golfers, I mean, the absolute best in the world, people who putt for a living, they often completely misunderstand the very first few inches of a golf ball's journey.
It is a phenomenal paradox, and honestly, it sets up a massive trap for anyone holding a putter.
Yeah.
Let's set the stage a bit. When a pro is out there struggling on an incredibly fast green during a major championship, the commentators, the fans, and, well, often the players themselves, they immediately jump to a single diagnosis.
They blame the read.
Exactly. A failure to read the break. They believe they misjudged the slope, the fall line, or just the general speed.
They think, I saw it breaking left, but it held its line and went straight. I need to get my eyes checked.
But Henrik Jentsch's research reveals that green reading is only the visible part of the equation.
Right.
It's the conscious calculation. The crucial mechanism that actually determines whether that putt goes in or misses is completely invisible to the naked eye.
Which is so crazy to think about.
It happens immediately after the putter strikes the ball, and it lasts for only a fraction of a second.
To picture this, we really need a massive shift in how we visualize the physics. Because, most of us think striking a golf ball with a putter is like pushing a shopping cart.
Oh, yeah, the shopping cart analogy.
Right, like you apply force and it instantly starts rolling forward.
Yeah.
But the data says it's actually much more like an airplane landing.
Yes. That is the perfect way to think about it.
An airplane doesn't just, instantly start driving smoothly on the tarmac the second it arrives from the sky. First, it has this short flight, like a launch phase. Then the wheels touch down, and they screech, they skid, they slide along the runway as the wheel speed violently tries to match the speed of the plane itself.
Right. There's that friction.
Exactly. And only after that turbulent, unpredictable skid phase does the plane finally taxi smoothly. In the context of our golf ball, that smooth taxiing is what we call true roll.
The physics of that airplane landing map perfectly onto the golf ball. What's fascinating here is that we have to look at the tool being used. Every putter, even though it looks like a perfectly flat, vertical piece of metal, actually has loft.
Wait, really? Even a putter?
Yes. It has a slight upward angle to the face, usually a few degrees, and there is a real physical reason for this. A golf ball has mass, and when it sits on a green, its weight causes it to settle into a microscopic depression in the grass.
Oh, so it creates a tiny crater.
Exactly. A tiny little crater.
So if a putter had 0 degrees of loft, it would basically just smash the ball directly into the wall of that tiny grass crater.
It would drive it straight into the turf, and that would cause it to bounce wildly. So the loft exists to gently lift the ball out of that resting depression.
Okay, that makes sense.
But because of that lift, the ball is literally airborne for a brief moment.
Wow.
It travels through the air, it lands, and because it hasn't established forward rotation yet, it enters that screeching tires skid phase across the grass.
Right, the airplane landing.
Exactly.
Right.
Friction finally catches up, the sliding stops, and it stabilizes into a true end-over-end roll.
Wait, so it's physically airborne and then essentially hydroplaning across the grass.
That is exactly what it's doing, and that skid phase is where the illusion begins. During that launch and skid phase, Gravity and the subtle slope of the green are not affecting the ball predictably.
Because it's skipping over the surface.
Right. The ball might be sliding, it might be bouncing slightly off the turf, it is rotating it consistently. All that careful green reading the player did. Entirely irrelevant during this phase.
Oh, wow.
The ball isn't fully reacting to the slope yet. It only responds consistently to gravity once the skid phase ends and true roll begins.
Because the ball is ignoring the slope during that hydroplaning skid phase, that has to create a massive visual disconnect for the golfer standing over it.
Oh, a profound visual illusion.
I mean, if the ball isn't doing what the ground says it should do right away, your brain has to be incredibly confused.
Think about the human behavior after hitting a putt. The golfer holds their pose, right? And their eyes track the ball as it gets closer to the hole.
Yeah.
They're exclusively watching the end of the putt. At the end of the putt, assuming it eventually started rolling cleanly, the ball is in a perfect true roll. It is falling down the slope, behaving beautifully according to the gravity they calculated.
So they see the ball tracking perfectly on that beautiful curve they envision, but maybe it misses just below the hole.
Right. The golfer watches that beautiful, predictable curve at the end, and their brain makes a fundamentally flawed assumption.
Yeah.
They assume the ball experienced that exact same amount of break, that same predictable gravitational pull for the entire journey, right from the moment it left the putter face.
So if a player misses on the low side, they immediately think, oh, I underread the break. I should have aimed higher.
Yes.
They replay the putt in their mind, completely blaming their eyes, but actually it was their putter launching the ball improperly.
Precisely. The read might have been absolutely mathematically perfect. The problem was their hands. It was the launch.
Man, that's wild.
The term we use here is dynamic loft. You might buy a putter off the rack with, say, 3 degrees of static loft. But dynamic loft is the actual real-time angle of that putter face. At the exact microscopic fraction of a second, it impacts the ball.
Ah, okay.
Dynamic loft is affected by your shaft lean, your hand position, your attack angle, and even where on the face you strike the ball.
Let's paint a picture of that for the listener. If your hands are pressed way forward, like you're trying to hit a low stinger with a 2-iron, you are delofting the putter. You essentially turn a 3-degree putter into a -1-degree putter.
And we know what happens then.
Yeah.
The ball gets trapped, it's driven into the surface, it bounces up abruptly, and you create incredibly unstable launch conditions.
It totally ruins the read.
But the opposite is equally damaging. If your hands are falling backward or you flip your wrists, you add dynamic loft.
So you're delivering, what, 5 or 6 degrees of loft at impact?
Exactly. And the ball launches too high, the airplane flies too far before landing, which means it skids longer.
It hydroplanes past the exit ramp.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And because it's skidding longer, it's immune to the subtle break for a longer period of time. It holds its initial straight line for way too long, missing the window where it was supposed to start curving.
Yes.
By the time it finally enters true roll and starts taking the break, it's physically too late to reach the hole.
In both of those scenarios, excessive launch or trapped launch, the player firmly believes the problem was the read. But the read was ruined by the launch. The invisible part of the putt destroyed the visible part.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because if this skid phase dictates so much of the outcome on a standard local municipal course with shaggy grass, the margins must be violently unforgiving on championship-level greens.
Oh, they are.
The text specifically focuses on environments like the upcoming 2026 PGA Championship at Aronimink. We're talking about greens that are famously fast. I mean, they roll like marble floors.
Very true.
So I want to make sure I understand the physics here. Wouldn't a lightning-fast green just mean the ball zips over the grass so quickly that it actually ignores gravity? It feels like speed would cancel out the break.
You know, that is the most common logical assumption, but physics dictates the exact opposite.
Really?
Fast greens amplify this illusion to a terrifying degree. Think about the energy required to move the ball. On a thick, slow green, you have to hit the ball with significant force to reach a hole 20 feet away.
Right, you really have to smack it.
That force propels it quickly. But on an extremely fast, frictionless surface like Aronimink, the ball requires far less initial energy to travel that same 20 feet. You basically just tapping it. Okay. Because you struck it so softly, the ball is actually rolling at a slower pace for a longer portion of its total journey compared to a slow green.
Oh, wow. Because it's practically a frictionless surface, you barely breathe on the ball. And because you barely breathed on it, it spends way more time just meandering at a slow pace toward the hole.
Exactly. It is spending more time in transit. And the slower the ball moves, the more susceptible it is to the slope of the green. Gravity has more time to pull it sideways.
That makes so much sense when you break it down like that.
On these fast championship greens, a microscopic difference in your launch angle or your skid distance suddenly becomes a catastrophic error.
Wow.
If your ball skids just an inch or two longer than you intended, it misses the precise mathematical window where gravity was supposed to start pulling it. The margin for error basically vanishes.
Which totally recontextualizes putter fitting. Because, reading this data, my first amateur thought was, well, I just need to figure out what standard loft the pros use, buy that putter, and my launch issues are solved.
Right.
But players can't just buy a vanity putter off the rack and expect it to work everywhere if the margins are this tight.
No, not at all. It represents a major shift in how we understand equipment in this sport. Historically, professional putter fitting was heavily weighted toward aesthetics and feel.
Well, do you prefer the look of a sleek blade or a heavy mallet?
Exactly. Or what kind of visual alignment lines make you feel confident.
Mm.
But modern putting analysis shows that fitting, especially at the highest levels, is about matching the putter's specific loft to the exact green speed of the tournament you are about to play.
So a pro might literally bag a totally different loft at a Ronimink than they would at a course with slower, thicker coastal greens.
Absolutely. The goal is not to have a standard comfortable putter. The goal is to control the surface interaction and dictate the exact millimeter where true roll begins.
That is wild.
On a slower green, you might actually need a slightly higher launch condition just to get the ball out of its resting depression in the thicker grass so it can begin rolling efficiently.
Sure.
But on a lightning-fast championship green, that same excessive launch and skid becomes a major liability. You need the ball to start rolling cleanly as early as possible so you can accurately predict how gravity will affect it.
Right.
A putter loft that works beautifully on a slow practice green will produce completely erratic results on tournament day.
Okay, so if the invisible physics of the launch completely dictate the line of the putt, what happens to the pace when it actually reaches the hole? I have to imagine the math is just as unforgiving at the destination.
It is extremely unforgiving.
Because I want to throw a piece of classic golf wisdom at you. Anyone who has ever picked up a putter has been told, never leave a birdie putt short. Always roll the ball a little past the hole.
Yes, the old reliable advice.
The amateur logic is, if you leave it short, it has a 0% chance of going in. So if you hammer it, you at least give it a chance. Doesn't that old piece of advice solve the pace problem?
This raises an important question, but the short answer is no. It guarantees the ball reaches the destination, yes. But according to Jentzsch's data, it is a fundamentally flawed way to think about pace because it completely lacks precision.
Really?
Yeah. A little past the hole is an incredibly dangerous metric. It could mean 2 inches, or it could mean a panic smash that ends up 3 feet past the hole.
We've all been there.
Putting shouldn't be measured in inches past the hole. The optimal metric is velocity. The science tells us the optimal speed of the ball at the exact moment it reaches the edge of the hole is approximately 1 mile per hour.
Just 1 mile per... it is barely moving. It is practically dying as it arrives.
Exactly, which corresponds to roughly 3 to 4 revolutions of the golf ball per second. That specific speed is the magic number because, at exactly 1 mile per hour, the effective capture width of the hole remains optimal.
Let's break down capture width for you, the listener, because it's a fascinating physical concept. A standard golf hole is 4.25 inches wide, but that is only true if the ball is moving at the perfect speed.
Right.
If you take that amateur advice and hammer the ball so it arrives at the hole moving 3 or 4 miles farther, it can hit the left or right edge of the cup and violently lip out.
It has too much forward momentum to allow gravity to pull its mass down into the cylinder. The hole effectively shrinks in size.
But at 1 mile per hour, the ball is traveling slow enough that even if it catches the extreme far left or right edge, gravity will still overcome its forward momentum and pull it down.
Exactly.
By controlling the speed to exactly 1 mile per hour, the hole is effectively as wide as it can physically possibly be.
You are maximizing the physical dimensions of the target. Achieving that precise 1 mile per hour finish requires a deep understanding of the relationship between time and break.
Which brings us to another huge concept.
Right. The text highlights a fundamental principle. The amount a putt breaks is directly mathematically related to time. Gravity is a constant downward force. The longer the ball sits on a tilted surface, the longer gravity has to pull it sideways.
which perfectly explains the terrifying nature of downhill putts.
Oh, absolutely.
On a downhill putt, you have to hit it softer to keep it at that 1 mile per hour finish.
Yeah.
Because it is moving slower, it takes more time to travel the same 10 feet than an uphill putt would.
Yes.
More time on the slope means gravity pulls it more sideways, softer putts break more, faster putts break less, time equals break.
Knowing all these complex concepts, we're talking about kinematics here, which is the actual geometric study of the motion, the speed, the launch angles, and the skid distances. It raises the question of how a human being actually computes this.
Right, you can't exactly pull out a calculator, a protractor, and a physics textbook on the 18th green while millions of people are watching you on television.
Historically, the greatest putters in the world managed all of these launch conditions and gravitational influences without consciously realizing it.
Oh, interesting.
Their brains synthesized the data through tens of thousands of hours of trial and error on the practice green. We called it feel.
They didn't know the physics equations, they just embodied them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But relying purely on feel is rapidly becoming an outdated concept. The future of putting, and certainly the future of coaching, is moving away from guessing.
We have the data now.
We have the technology to measure and understand the biomechanics, meaning how the human body actually moves to create that perfect dynamic loft and the resulting kinematics.
So what does this all mean? Why does this matter to you listening right now? Whether you are a casual golfer trying to stop three-putting on the weekends or a serious coach trying to develop the next generation of pros, understanding the science is the new baseline.
It really is.
You can't just tell a player to read it better or hit it softer anymore. You need to understand what the hands and the putter face are actually doing to the ball at the microscopic moment of impact.
And if this kind of deep mechanical breakdown is your thing, these advanced topics, the biomechanics, the kinematics, the launch physics, are exactly the focus of Henrik Jensch's upcoming Puddleize certification courses.
Where can people find those?
Those certification courses will soon be available on the ecoach360.com platform. They are actually inviting golf coaches, players, and putting specialists who want to move beyond the old myths and deepen their understanding of putting science to join their free community.
That's awesome.
It's a hub to participate in ongoing discussions about modern putting systems, green reading, putter loft, and advanced coaching methodologies. Because once you understand the physics of the launch, it completely changes how you approach the game.
It completely changes how you watch the game, too. The next time you're watching a major championship and you see a pro miss a crucial three-footer on a fast green, you won't just think, wow, terrible read.
No, you'll be looking at their hands.
You'll be wondering about the skid phase, their dynamic loft, and whether they hit it at 1 mile per hour or 3 mile per hour. Let's take a quick look back at the journey we just went on.
Let's do it.
We started by debunking the ultimate green reading myth that what you visibly see is the only thing that matters. We uncovered the unseen, airplane-like physics of a putt's launch phase, complete with liftoff, screeching tires, and the danger of hydroplaning past the break.
A lot of screeching tires.
And we learned that to maximize your chances, you need the precise kinematics of an optimal 1 mile per hour finish to keep that capture width as wide as possible.
It is a massive paradigm shift in how we view a seemingly simple action. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Okay, I love a good final thought.
We spent this whole time talking about golf, but the underlying principle here is entirely universal. The putting illusion happens because we only judge the visible end result, the true roll at the very end of the putt.
Right.
Because we only look at the end, we entirely miss the flawed, invisible launch that actually caused the failure. So if we step outside of golf into our own lives, our businesses, or our relationships, how often are we diagnosing a problem based purely on the visible break at the very end of a process, completely blind to the flawed launch conditions that set us on the wrong path from the very beginning?
Are we constantly trying to fix the read when we really need to fix the launch?
I love that. Thank you so much for joining us on this custom deep dive. Keep questioning the invisible forces behind everything you see, and we'll catch you on the next one.